All right, welcome back to Five on the Floor. We're joined now by Steve Stowe. He's the executive director and vice president of the Miami Heat Charitable Fund. We've had him on in the past. We've got Family Festival coming up this weekend. Want to give you guys a chance to find out about it and also find out how you can go if you want to go here. Steve, appreciate you joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so I think when we had you on last year, we were talking about kind of the return, right? Like that was what was a little bit different here. Obviously, COVID changed this. We talked a lot about what it was before, and yeah, at times it was on South Beach, and then you moved it to the arena and sort of all the capacity and the avenues that opens up for you. So let's talk about this one though. What's the theme, and what are people going to see there?
So that's a great point that you nailed is, during the pandemic, we unfortunately were not able to host this Heat Family Festival. So this is going to be the 25th event that we've ever hosted. Obviously, Chris and Pat Riley brought this event to us in the late 90s, and the Arison family and Carnival have been huge sponsors and partners of this event. But this event is something that is taking place for the first time since 2015 back at the Dan Paul Plaza, formerly known as Parcel B by the Bay. And I can't believe it's been 10 years since we had a traditional festival. We've moved it indoors, we've had it on the plaza. We've had different, you know, iterations of the festival on in front of Biscayne Boulevard and down by the West Plaza. But this is really a traditional festival, really taking on the Vice theme and the Vice campaign that the marketing department has so beautifully created. So this year's festival is almost like a re-education process, not only to our organization and our players, but also the community of what the Miami Heat Family Festival is. So I'm personally excited that it's back in our backyard on the bay. And I think our fans and the players that are attending and our coaching staff are really going to get a feel of what the Family Festival is all about.
Yeah, for people who don't know, Parcel B is if you go into the arena on 8th Street and then you go around the arena, that's in the back. So that's where you're seeing all the cruise ships and everything else. Of course, Bayside across the way, as you mentioned, when you've done it at the arena, it's typically been on the plaza and outside. So you're kind of facing I guess all the food stands are kind of
Yeah.
facing back north, but this time it's going to be out there and you have a lot more space. I would assume to
Yeah.
operate there. So beyond that, and obviously the food options is something that everybody gets into here. What else is planned? I saw you put on social media whether or not they should bring the dunk tank back
Mhm.
again
Mhm.
and basically dunk jacks, which I always think is a good idea. But what are some of the other things we can expect this year?
So it's funny, you did mention the food. I mean, one thing that has happened since the pandemic is South Florida really has been the beneficiary of really having a lot of new restaurants open, I would say, since 2020. So this year's festival, I know we always say this, but we have close to 50 restaurants participating, all donating their food. The chefs coming out with their time. We're gonna have players bartending. We're gonna have players, serving food. So the food court alone is worth the price of admission. Just the South Beach Food and Wine is great. This is better, from a food standpoint. But yes, and then the dunk tank with the Miami Fire Department helping us out with that. Jax, as of yesterday, doubled down, said he's not going to be part of the dunk
Yeah.
tank, as opposed to, yes, you're right. I put a poll out there, and it was a resounding,
Yes.
unanimous yes. But I think he had some sort of nose, ear infection from that year that he's still talking about. So Jax is out of the dunk tank. We are still looking for some folks to be in the dunk tank. We're a loving organization. We're all about unity. We want to bring the community together. So I'm having a tough time finding somebody that we could really, get them in and kind of.
Steve, I have some options in the media. I have some options in the media room. I mean,
Hey,
if you
I
wait,
might have to tonight between the night and Friday's game. Let all our beat writers know we might be kind of asking for some volunteers for that. But yeah, the dunk tank's just one of many things that's going to be taking place. We do have some surprise celebrity appearances, performances that have yet to be announced. So we're hoping to lock those in later today, actually. And then in addition to that, a lot of games and rides and things for kids, and just really being able to interact with our players, whether it's a
Mhm.
can smash, a balloon pop, doing different things with our players. I think playing basketball out there by the bay, being with our guys up close and personal, this is the first time to really meet some of our newest players. And at the same time, no matter what you've done in the past with the Heat, you'll get to be with our players, their families, their moms, and it's a really unique experience to have our guys out there in that sort of capacity.
Yeah, and of course, front offices out there. You see all these
Absolutely, yeah.
people. Eric Reed's out there every year. Some of these folks have been here since the very beginning. All right, the food we mentioned that before. That's kind of what I come back to a lot of times. I have a friend of mine with Wolf of Tacos. I know he's going to be out there. We've
Oh,
got
really? Yeah.
others.
Yes.
We've got others who are going to be out there, obviously. But you mentioned like 50 food vendors. How does that even work? I think for people who don't understand, like how do you get chosen to be a food vendor at Family Festival?
Yeah, it's a process. Obviously, shout out to one of our originals, the brownie lady and some of the
Mhm.
staples that are there year after year. Lutong Filipino from the Philippines, a big Coach Spolstra fan favorite, and they're huge fans of Coach Spo. But in addition to that, the process is really just us connecting with the community. The South Florida has a big story to tell when it comes to these restaurants. I think when people think of South Florida, you think of the Prime 112s, the Joe Stone
Mhm.
Crabs, the big names, the Poppy Steak, which have all been part of our festival in the past. But I think the narrative and the story that goes untold is, like you said, the Wolf of Taco, Chef Eduardo, who started in his backyard during the pandemic and built up through pop-ups and built up his brand. And now they get a chance to be, one of the South Florida's most renowned Mexican restaurants.
Mhm.
And the fact, if no one's tasted it yet, they will this coming weekend. So yeah, the restaurants is a process throughout the entire year where we work with folks. I mean, we had a great opportunity to have a Coach Spo 5K this year where we also
Mhm.
tapped into different food trucks and things like that. So we really like to let our restaurants of Florida showcase their talents, and the food court is a way they get to do that.
Okay, so what is there a specific theme this year? I guess a lot of times you come in here with a theme.
Yeah, we had some amazing themes in the past, being that this was our 25th year, and looking back in the past, whether it was the jungle safari theme that had
Mhm.
Zoe on a camel. We had fire and ice with LeBron, throwing snowballs out there, and we had the wild, wild heat, the Western theme with the mechanical bull, which Jax rode as well. This year, we're just gonna go with the Vice theme and a lot
Mhm.
of the pinks, the Miamis, the skylines in the backdrop. I think in the future we'll probably get back to kind of these unique creative themes, and do what the festival knows best. But this year, in line with our Vice theme, it's going to be
Mhm.
that Miami feel, and you'll see a lot of those beautiful colors out there, and the Vice theme apparent.
All right, so tell everybody when is it specifically on Saturday, and how do they get their
Yeah.
tickets?
Yeah. So it'll be this Saturday, March 22nd, starts at 1 o'clock. You can go to heat.com/family festival, and you could click on the link for the tickets, and feel free to join us. It's something that, this all goes to charity.
Mhm.
So, again, there's been a lot of donor fatigue, or
Mhm.
different charities asking for funds, and it's a challenge. So we always really appreciate our fans giving back to us. Look, in full transparency, the team, or encore performance is something that we want to get better, and
Mhm.
push. We see good things coming, but the one thing that no matter win or lose, 365 days we have to be out there in the community, and it's not
Mhm.
easy. The toughest thing about what I do, I've been here since 1999. The toughest thing about what I personally do is, whatever you do is never enough. There's always
Yeah.
someone that needs more. There's always someone, Thanksgiving in Overtown, that didn't get a
Mhm.
turkey. There's always an organization that is in emergency need for funding to exist. So that's what just drives us here. All of us is, like you said, our ownership group's going to be out there. Andy Ellsberg, our general manager and vice president of basketball operations, is going to be out there. It's just amazing to really see our staff hands-on volunteering at this event, and really working to create these funds that are desperately needed.
All right, so go to heat.com Be there at Family Fest. I'll be there. I'm not volunteering for the dunk tank though. I will tell
I'll take
Winderman and
suggestions. Yes.
I'll tell Winderman and Reynolds to bring their suits. And
Sure,
maybe
and it's
we'll
gonna
do
be a
something
nice
with them.
day. Might be a
Yeah.
little chillier. The water might be a little chillier. And then, like you said, with the restaurants, South Florida is huge. A lot of people think
Mhm.
South Florida is Miami. I want to give a special shout out to the Crush Band coming all the way down from West Palm. They're going to be gracing our stage with some Motown hits. And I think a lot of people are going to really get to see some unique opportunities to not only give, but to have some good times with the Miami Heat.
All right, Steve, we appreciate it. Check it out again, heat.com. We'll see you out there on Saturday. Have a good one, Steve.
Okay, thanks. See you tonight. Take care.
Yep.
Bye. Thank you.